Luke, you've spent a week with us on an internship. And so what we normally tend to do is we film a wee video when we have team leaving to basically just give them the opportunity, first of all, to kind of make a cool little video that's like a snapshot of their time here. But also it's a great video for us to be able to use with people in the future who are looking to join, whether that be as full members of the team or as interns. And ultimately you can say what you want because you're leaving.
Okay.
I mean, you've got 2 days left. So it'd be an awkward 2 days if you had a bad time. But so that's really kind of the purpose of what this conversation is. And for everybody watching, that's also why we do it. And we try and leave it as unedited as possible. So we don't just edit out all the bad stuff.
Good to know.
So I've just got a few quick fire questions. It's just kind of fun to run through. And you can it's just fun to talk kind of about your time here in the last month. So first question, who was your favorite client to work with and why?
I feel like a lot of these answers are going to be Scripture Union. I'm probably going to say Scripture Union. They're one of the few clients where I actually talked to them pretty in depth. I had great conversations with 2 or 3 of the teachers there, and they took us on like nature tours and trails, and so it was just a really pretty view. But I also felt like I was learning. I felt like one of the kids there. I was filming, but I was also like paying attention to what he was saying about, like they were learning about Scotland, the trees, everything. And I found it all fascinating. So that was pretty cool.
Explain a little bit about what the shoot was and
yeah.
What the goal
So
was.
It was just kind of like I was filming B-roll for just it's like a kids camp, and I was filming B-roll for all the activities that they do. And so there was like bungee jumping, nature walks, paddle boards, canoes, and like this leap of faith, all really cool stuff just to watch kids do. It was just a fun environment to film in.
Nice. What was the proudest piece of work, whether it was a shoot or a film or an edit or what did you?
Proudest piece of work. I really liked the behind the scenes high five video I did, just because it got some laughs, which I was not expecting, honestly. So I was really happy with that. Really happy with the changes that were made to it, that I feel like it really brought it together, and the advice you guys gave me. And I was also really proud of the B-roll I got at the Scripture Union shoot, especially in the woods. I just thought it was really, really, really pretty. And yeah.
Great. The hi-fi shoot was an interesting one because we've never kind of filmed a behind the scenes properly. You know, so for our point of view, we didn't even know what it was.
And I also didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I should be filming the whole time, if I should be on and off. I surprised Ross. I went up to an interview and surprised him, which was quite comical. But yeah, it was a really interesting experience, and I quite enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah, it's nice sometimes just almost being given like free reign, right? It's just like, there's no real objective. Like we just want a behind the scenes video and it's kind of up to you to just creatively create, you know? And I think from our point of view, a lot of it was just like, you know, once you pieced it together, what the piece was like a minute long, and it was there was like a little bit at the beginning with Ross talking, and a little bit at the end with Ross talking, and then a bit in the middle where like one of the gimbals was doing something weird. And so, you know, from our point of view, we were like, actually, we're quite a relaxed team here and we want the funny bits, you know, so it was fun to then see you then take that. And I was just like, look, make it more funny. And you just went back into kind of the raw and pulled out like some more clips with the guys engaging with the client more and just like the stupid nonsense that they ended up getting up to. And it really added to the video. So yeah, it was cool to see you kind of going back, digging into that and then kind of bringing it back in. And the video was so much better, you know.
It was funny because I didn't realize I was giggling while I was editing it, and then I hear you going like, "What's so funny?" Like I'm like, "Oh crap! I need to relax. I need to calm down."
What was your biggest learning?
Probably how you run a production company. I think the most learning I did was at Growth Club and in our one-on-one conversation, because I already have the idea of how to edit and how to shoot. Like every company has their different systems and different ways of going about it and styles. But I've never learned how to run a production company. So that was very fascinating to me, and I didn't realize how much I was interested in it until we talked about it. And the questions just kept coming out. I kept asking questions. I'm like, wow, I'm actually really interested in this. I thought business was boring, not gonna lie. But I think learning like finances and spreadsheets and looking into the future and gathering people around you, all that was vital information that I think was the most I've learned about.
And what was there one specific thing in our conversation where you were like, oh, that was like a, sort of a eureka moment, or like I just never realized that stood out? Because we chatted for what, 5 hours, 6 hours?
We chatted for a long time.
So, was there one specific part of it that you were like, oh, wow, okay, I've never thought about that before?
The big thing was how little you actually need equipment-wise. Like, I always thought you need the best, nicest camera, the biggest, best gimbal, the biggest and fanciest lights to have a chance at making it. And then you have good gimbals, you have Canon cameras, and you make them look great. You just have a style. You don't need the best of everything, because everything does get dated. So that was a big revelation. And 2 is when you told me how many clients you got from Growth Club. I didn't realize how one conversation with somebody else could boost your business up. Like, your talk with Alan got you all these clients in the future. So now I'm thinking, I actually got to talk to people now. I got to get out. I got to talk whether I like it or not. And that was a big realization as well. How important one conversation with somebody could be to my future.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, that, my yesterday, right, was just absolutely rammed. Like, I had 5 meetings, one after another, and 2 of those meetings ended up becoming, it's not all everything's not signed, but 2 of those conversations ended up being like, okay, we're going to spend money with you. And that's like potentially 30, 40,000 pounds this year from 2 conversations, and it's like, and those conversations happened because I had conversations with other people, and those conversations fed into those conversations. Do you know what I mean? And then it's spiraled.
I was always taught how important networking is, especially in my field of work, but seeing it happen like live while I was here, like truly nailed it in my head how important this is. Especially if you want to start a business.
Yeah, and for me as well, I'm not naturally extroverted.
What?
Like it's unbelievable. But like my default is like, I'd rather be at home not talking to anyone. Like, that is my default. So my extrovertism is learned. So a lot of it is actually like quite exhausting for me. A lot of it is learned, where I'm like, okay, I have to go out and I have to put on a smile, and there's a lot of fake laughing. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were joking about that. But it's like, okay, the relationships are really real, and that's really important. But there's also a game on top that gets played, where it's like, okay, I need to build a relationship with this person. I am building a relationship with them, but it's also strategic because of the relationships that can open up. And everyone's playing it. People play that with me. Like, you could argue the whole reason how you ended up on this internship was because somebody else played a relationship they had with me, and then they were like, oh, I've got this guy, Luke, who's looking for, and here it was. So you can see how people leverage those relationships. Now, I believe all those relationships are real, but there's also a game that kind of sits as well as part of that, where you need to be smart about how you kind of like work through and leverage those relationships. So yeah, I think you're right. I think learning that, and especially if you go on to start something yourself, is going to be really, really important. So what is the thing you will miss the most?
The thing I will miss the most is probably the office environment you've created. Everybody works hard, but everybody's laughing all the time as well. And I just love seeing it. I'm not in it all the time, but I love just seeing you, like, the relations you've cultivated, because I've seen in other businesses where people don't talk. They just go, work, leave, and like, that's just what I thought it was. But you've created something kind of special here, and a lot of funny moments I've experienced, and I'm gonna miss that a little bit. And I really like the slouch meetings on Mondays. Those are fun.
Talk about what that is.
Yeah, so slouch meetings basically when I've been here, it's been every Monday. We have a meeting and we get lunch, And then we talk about, everyone's at this meeting, and you just talk about how your week was, the goods, the bads, and then you talk about how your projects that you're editing are going, and what needs to be done. And then you talk about systems that could be checked, and then you have like a book club that nobody has read, and a movie club, which I believe nobody has watched either. But it's good fun. It's good fun. I really enjoy it. Kind of creates a good start to the week. I thought. It was the first time I've ever looked forward to a Monday of the week. So.
Well, free lunch, I mean.
Oh yeah, free lunch.
Doesn't get much better than that.
I get to sit around and listen to you guys, so.
Okay, 2 more questions. What was then the general highlight, like when in 2 years' time, when you look back on your time in Scotland over the month, what are you going to be like? Wow, that was great.
Probably our one-on-one when we climbed the hill. Just that whole day, I learned so much valuable information, I feel like, and I was able to comprehend it, which surprised me, honestly. And I think I'm gonna look back and, because that was kind of the day, if I do decide, or when I start my business and it gets somewhere, that's the day that it really started. That's the day where I kind of chose, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
So that was probably the highlight.
Yeah.
Or the most important day of the trip.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cool moment. Great. And last question. If you were to give advice to another intern coming into YouMore, what would you say to them?
Learn Premiere before you get here, or else you're just a slug. Learn Premiere. I know some people don't like Premiere. Just learn it for the month. It'll help you out. Be a little more efficient. You don't have to feel bad asking the dumbest questions, or take the time to hand do all the subtitles when there's a AI to do it for you. So yeah, learn Premiere before you get here.
Great. Yeah, I mean, even that, we haven't even spoke about really any of the editing time you actually spent editing, but actually, you know, that was quite a big ask, was like, you hadn't spent a ton of time on Premiere before, and it's like, well, we're all Premiere here. So it's like, well, just got to suck it up and, you know, learn it.
I actually quite like Premiere now. I used to be hard against it. I used to say, I'm gonna do my best never to work in it, but I think with like, there's a little things that Premiere actually has that I didn't know, like the sequences, how you don't have to make a new project every single time you want to make a new video, which I found fascinating, and like how they're interchangeable between everybody. And I'm like, okay, and the AI subtitle, that would save me days at home. So yeah, Premiere's been a blessing I didn't expect or didn't want at the time of starting.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Luke, we have loved having you here. I mean, when we first spoke, a couple of months ago, and it was sort of like, oh, maybe we'll have an intern. We were pretty rammed, and it was sort of like, oh, fine, yeah, whatever, like, come on down. Like, I don't know what you'll do, but there's loads happening. There's loads of shoots. There's like, we'll just get you busy going out. And I think from our point of view, when, like, my expectation was that you would actually never really be editing or doing any client work, ultimately. I thought, you know, from our client's point of view, we didn't want to put you on client work based on, I'd seen some of your work, but it's very different, you know, seeing work that you've done and then actually seeing you do the edit and the process. But I think all of us in the office, you know, within a couple of days, were like, oh, Luke can actually edit. Oh, great. You know, and oh, Luke can shoot. Oh, great. And it didn't take long for us to be like, cool, let's, you know, stick him on some client work, you know, get him actually doing some sort of real world stuff. We didn't even mention your intro video that we filmed. Yeah. That was fun. That was fun to kind of like come up with that and, you know, see the process of, and then you edited it, and then, you know, you got Ross's input, a funny guy, to, you know, come in and just tweak a few things. But again, most of it you kind of nailed. So, and that was like the first video you edited here.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, I mean, from our point of view, we really loved having you. The team's really loved having you. It's been good to have you in the office, getting edits done, doing client work as well. So yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you as well from us for being part of the team.
Thank you for letting me come a part of the team. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing what you do in the future. So good luck.
Thank you.
Awkward stare.
Yeah, how long do we do this for?
Amazing.